Hey, call me Shape, and today I want to react to a video titled, If I Were Single and Starting Over, This Is What I Would Do. Let's get right into it.
If I were single and starting over, this is how I'd find my partner. The person you spend the rest of your life with will have the largest impact on who you become, what you achieve, and how happy you are. But most people spend more time deciding what car they want to buy or what neighborhood they're going to live in than the person they're going to marry. When I was in college, there was a graph they put on the board in my economics class that said that there's a 0.71 correlation between your subjective well-being and the strength of your relationship with your significant other. And then if you pair that with amount of time spent with friends, family, kids, alone, and spouse, over time, alone and spouse go up and everything else crashes down to like almost nothing. The person that you're going to spend the most amount of time for the rest of your life with is going to be your spouse. The amount of single people that I see right now who are like, oh, I don't want to be on the apps don't work. It's like, we're talking about finding the one person you're going to be with for the rest of your life that you're going to spend the most amount of time with out of all humans by like a wide margin. And you're like, I don't want to go on more than 10 dates. It's like, so you just want to spin the wheel 10 times to just pick whatever of the 10 that you get that you're like, I guess this one doesn't suck. And then that's it. That's the rest of your life. It's like, I just want the rest of my life to kind of not suck. It's kind of,
it's funny. He's definitely talking about women when he said that. Like, you just want to spin the wheel, right? And whichever ones you get. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to try to work at dating and finding the right one. And therefore, they're just stuck with whoever comes around.
the inverse of selling. Like in sales, you have a pipeline and you know what your conversion percentages are. The thing with finding a significant other is you only need to find one. And I remember when I was way younger, like in high school going to college, where some girls like, what are you looking for? We're like on a date thing and it did not go the way she was expecting. I was just like, these are all the things I'm looking for. And she was really discouraged. Looks like you're just trying to find a unicorn. I was like, well, I only have to find one. I believe in having exceptionally high standards, only second to the standards you hold yourself to. So either you've got like camp number one, I'll take anyone with a pulse. That's one way to do it. You're just gonna get the scraps of society, which sucks. Camp two, which is probably the more prevalent one, which is why so many people are struggling.
I don't think he understands that the scraps of society are trying to figure out how to date, right? Not the elite people, right? Then they make that new app called The League. Okay, they're making grounds for people that are elite. But for people who are, you call the scraps, the ones that are just trying to live an average, regular life, they're trying to figure out how to date. Just saying.
I want to have this amazing person, but I suck. But they should be so amazing that they should see me for who I am deep down, like deeper, even deeper, like really deep down. They should be able to see that, right? Even though I'm fucked up and I don't have a job and I'm overweight and I never stick with my commitments and I never follow through. Like besides all that, and I lie sometimes, you know what I mean? And I haven't been faithful for like past relationships, but still, and I'm not complimentary and like I don't have any values that they aspire to be. I actually really have nothing going for me. But besides all of that, deep down, I'm amazing. If they just knew how to look. That's like camp two, and I feel like that's a lot of people. And then camp three is, I saw this meme that went like all over the internet, which is you can consolidate all of the relationship gurus' dating advice to be successful. And they were making fun of that. Yes, like that is at the end of everything, that's it. 100 different hacks, and most of them are about deception. Like realistically, like most of the dating hacks that I see are about posturing and perceiving, making people see you a certain way. But the thing is like on a long enough time horizon, they're gonna figure out who you are. And so like it's short-term, long-term. And so people don't want to do the harder long-term work of just like being somebody worth being with and want to find out how.
I think it's so funny. And I like Alex Hormozy, but I think this is the problem. He's talking about keeping your standards high, only second to your standards. Most people don't have high standards. The average person has average standards, which probably for Alex Hormozy is low standards in the scraps, right? But the issue with that is that people who are equally as low as them don't want to date them. So now what? What do we do, right? Because, listen, when it comes to the hierarchy of people in this country, they're going to be the haves and the have-nots for the most part. There's people in between, but if you got it, you're good. And if you don't got it, you're in a lot of trouble. So what we're trying to tell people is if two people who don't got it come together, they might get it. Right? If you put two average incomes together, it comes what? Double the average income. So, yeah, I think the biggest issue is not that successful people like J-Lo can't stay married. Shout out to her. I don't know her personally, but I think she's on her third divorce. But it's more like the average person can't find someone to pair with because everyone wants the best of the best. And you know Alex Hormozi thinks the same way. He wants the best of the best. I think that way too myself. But the issue is not for us. He's married. I will find somebody. But what about the average guy that has an average income, that looks average, and he's not the best of the best? What about him?
Like optimize their dating profiles. And don't get me wrong, like it's an ad. So get nice images. Sure, like maybe spend 5 minutes on what you're gonna have every single potential prospect in your life see. Okay, that makes sense. The real work is like, okay, you go on the date, now what? Right? Like you still have to like be somebody that somebody might want to be with. So I'm a big domino believer, which is like, if I solve this one big thing, can I make all of the rest of these things go away? I can do 100 tiny tweaks and hacks to try and find a girl who's out of my league. Or I can just make myself so worthy that I can get any girl, no matter what league she's in. And if I just do that, the rest, I don't need to optimize my profile. I don't need to have all these things, because if I just have that, I'm fine. And so I've tended to try and find that one thing in business, in fitness, in relationships, and that served me pretty well. My dad told me this when I was single. He said, everyone has a type, and you'll date plenty of people who are that type. But the chances are that you're not gonna marry your type, because if you were, then you wouldn't have a type, you'd have a wife. And I found that really interesting, because if you keep dating the same type of person, and you're like, this is my type, then it is probably a good signal that that type of person isn't the person you end up with, because you still keep dating them. If you have been dating one type of person and you finally get with somebody else, and it's very different, it doesn't necessarily mean that's bad. If anything, it might actually be the type of person you end up marrying. And I just find that as a really interesting frame for thinking through mate selection. You know, we date people who fill one clear role or one clear look, especially when you're younger. It's just, I mean, at least for me, it was just like, how hot is this person or whatever. But over time, you realize that like you date someone a little bit on the edge, and you're like, oh, I liked all these other things that the people I normally don't have. And then all of a sudden you start branching into very different types of people, and kind of, in some ways, appreciating, because I would say I've dated a more diverse selection of people than I've been friends with. I would say friends, like anyone who's friends with me is very narrowly interested in certain types of things, but people I dated, I was willing to date people who were far outside of that sphere of competence. And so even though I currently now am married to somebody who is in that sphere of like business and hardcore and all that stuff, I feel like I got a big appreciation for lots of different cultures ethnically, but also like psychographs of deeply religious people. Like I've dated people who were deeply religious before, and so I have a really good appreciation for that. And so I wouldn't have had that exposure had I.
Here's a problem with that, right? Yeah, you could date outside your type, don't have a type. Here's a major issue with that. Unfortunately, you won't treat people who are not your type like your type. If you're not attracted to a girl, and you did a girl that you're unattracted to, or not your type, you're not going to treat her the same as a girl that is your type. So I think the hardest thing is to find someone that you definitely find attractive. You're genuinely interested in them from the physical standpoint, and then someone that you could get along with. Those are the two combinations of things you want to try to figure out. Now, if you take the Alex Hormozi way, you're going to make yourself a top guy. You're a Chad now. You got multi-millions of dollars. Then, of course, then yeah, you have no girls out of your league, right? But again, I'm talking about for the average guy. The average guy, he might have a type. His type is an average girl, right? And if you tell him to date girls that are below average just to see what might happen, here's what he's going to find out. They're just as bad. No one talks about that. The people that are your type and the people aren't your type, they're both as bad behaving. Because we all behave in a social programming way. We're like sheep. We watch TV all day, and we behave like the characters on the screen. We just look different. So in my opinion, get with someone that you're attracted to and understand that you're going to put up with the same BS as someone that you're not attracted to. That's what I experienced personally. I would date beautiful women all the time. And I'm like, you know what, maybe my issues, because I'm having trouble with them, right? Like, different stuff, right? Drama, whatever. All girls are drama to some extent. And then I was like, all right, let me go down on looks. And you know what's funny? Some things the people down on looks did worse. They were worse than the attractive people. The issues I was having with this attractive girl, now I'm having more issues because this girl's insecure, and therefore insecurity lends itself to all types of undesirable characteristics in a person. So, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, honestly, for most people, it's not just the elite, right? Not just the top tier people. Date someone you genuinely find attractive. You, not me. You find attractive, right? And that they find you attractive as well. And from there, try to get along. It'll work.
Been willing to kind of break the type. I think being able to pick and judge people is one of the most valuable skills you can ever develop, and it's one of the hardest ones to develop because it takes pattern recognition and getting burned. I'm gonna lean into this. Like, judging people is fine. You have to assess someone. How are you going to assess them without judging them? The difference is calling them good or bad. Like, getting an accurate assessment of who someone is or what they do is totally fine, and it's human to do that, and I think it's necessary. And so this idea of like, you should never judge anyone, it's like you should judge everyone. You just don't necessarily need to measure yourself against them. I feel like you're only going to be able to recognize patterns if you put yourself out there and you're willing to have terrible first dates and terrible second dates for an extended period of time. Because you might find out that there's like a whole set of character traits that you didn't even know were important to you, and then you find them and you're like, whoa, this is now way more important than all the other stuff that I used to think was important. I only found that stuff out because like it's really hard to even hear podcasts like this and be like, okay, well, what do I do with this? Like, it is just exposure. You can make judgments on people even outside of a romantic relationship of like, man, I like this person that I worked with. Like, what are the traits that I like about this person? And trying to like really pinpoint those. Like I learned that I really liked a woman who respected me and who followed traditional gender roles. Those are things that are super important to me that I didn't know were important to me.
Then why are you dating a business girl? To be honest with you, not to be contrarian, but you know, your girl, you said, is your business partner. You guys are partners, right? Like business partners. That's not really traditional, in my opinion. Not that there's anything wrong. If you want to be a boss babe, go ahead. I'm all for it. I think women can invent a lot of great things, including businesses. But let's be honest. In order to do well in business, you have to have a masculine undertone to you, meaning that you could be rational, logical, and not emotional, or not at least emotionally impulsive. That's what you got to avoid, right? You got to be able to be calm in a chaotic situation. Girls who develop that skills, they don't have traditional roles. They got modern roles. That's a modern woman. A businesswoman is a modern woman, respectfully. This is what it is, right? So he says he likes. Okay, so Alex Hormozy type is a girl that is. And this video is not to describe his type, but it's really to do what to do when you're single. And I'm just trying to assess his information. So for him, his standpoint is be the best you could be. Okay. Don't be bounded to your type, right? Don't be bonded to it, right? And it seems like he's saying here that in order to pick the right person, you got to know what you're looking for, because he likes traditional roles, but I just don't see how. I don't know. This is kind of confusing. I like it because he talks very well, and some people could talk very well, and you're listening to them because they're making points that you agree with. But then when you put them all together, you're just like, what does any of this stuff mean? And he was like, exposure. You get exposed.
That out kind of later. I needed someone who does not get in the way of my goals. If I had somebody who always felt like I was taking by pursuing my goals, I knew it would never work long term, because I can't have my entire life be a take for somebody else. I'll never be able to flip that balance. So like I need someone who literally doesn't even see it as a take. Not somebody who's like, you can take as much as you want. That still doesn't work because the paradigm's wrong. Like, they have to see it as a give. Like, they have to see me working as fulfilling my duty to our household. And I want them to judge me on that. And so making sure that the person you're with judges you by the metrics that you judge yourself on. You might be spending all this time and effort optimizing towards what you think you should be judged on. But if they're judging you on completely different metrics, you're screwed. You'll never win. And so there's always gonna be this huge disconnect, this huge gap where they're like, you could be doing more. And you're like, how can I possibly do more? But it's because you're actually judging against different outcomes. Making sure that the things that they expect of you and the things that you expect of you are the same. And then they should be supporting you because they want those things from you too. And then that way you can work in synergy towards what you're trying to accomplish together, rather than feeling like there's always this give-take. Because like really, really super honestly, like Layla and I don't really have a give-take relationship. We both just like want the same thing. I never want her to think I could have done more.
She's like his twin. But usually, men, we don't find this. And he's attracted to his wife. She seems like an attractive woman. But they seem like they could be the same person, right? They're both into business. They both want the same things. They want to talk about business all day, every day. I want to mention this because Trump said this And shout out to him for winning the election. I hope he makes our country a better country for sure, 100%. You got to root for the guy that's in charge. You know, listen, I was rooting for Biden when Biden was in charge, even though he was like half awake. I was unhappy what he was executing, but I was hoping that he was going to do the right thing. Just saying. But anyway, Trump did not like one of his. He didn't like. I believe it was Ivana Trump, the mother of Ivanka Trump, and she was too much like what Alex Hormozy's wife was, like involved in the business. She was doing a great job too, from what anyone could see. You know, she was helping him design the hotels, pick out the stuff from everything. But he just felt like, I don't want to be married to someone that when I come home from work, we're just talking about numbers and business and stuff like that. Like, I want to be in my business element when I'm with my business guys, but then when I'm home, I want to be on like my lover vibe. And so they divorced for that one reason. Not that she was out of shape, not that she was doing a poor job as a business partner, but because he didn't want to be married to himself. Now, if you want to be like Alex Hormozy and you're somewhat married to yourself, then yeah, this is going to work out great. But I wouldn't recommend you do this if you're single. Don't look for someone. You want to find someone, in my opinion, to be complementary to you, that has things that you don't have. Now, I'm sure Alex Hormozy's wife is complementary to him in ways, but I'm saying that I don't need another woman to be my business partner because I'm trying to handle the business all myself. If she wants to work and do her own thing, that's cool. But to be like my business partner, I don't know. That's just me personally, that we're looking for the same thing. Therefore, she could judge me the same way that I could judge myself. I don't think so. Like, the stuff that I'm into, like YouTube, I'm doing YouTube now. I could date another YouTuber, but I'd rather date a girl outside of YouTube because I don't need her judging and thinking about YouTube, and I don't want to even talk to her about YouTube in that deep of a term. I just wanted her to be there to support me. I think that's what most people want, just the support. They don't want someone that has the same outlook on your life as you do. I mean, these are really hard. He's looking for a unicorn. He really is. This girl's specific. You're attracted to her. She's traditional, but she's also modern, right? And she judges you the way you would judge yourself. I mean, bro, what? I'm just trying to find a girl that's vegan. That's it. Vegan with a nice butt and a nice smile. That's my laundry list.
I've worked harder, or I left anything on the field. And so I think that's been a source of mutual respect, is that we're both harder on ourselves than the other person is on us. And so we're always outdoing the other person's expectations because we're both assessing on the same metrics. If you want to be the ultimate husband, find a woman who loves all the things that you currently do. Way less work than trying to change everything about who you are to match what they want from you. The amount of times I was in relationships where the things that they wanted me to do, I was like, this isn't me. Like, I can expend effort to do this, but I don't want to on a forever basis because I will resent you. But the thing is that there's another guy who would love to do that and probably does it on his own, and they should marry him. And so I think just being like really, really brutally honest about what do you really want out of me? And what do you expect? Like, what's a 10 out of 10 husband look like to you? And if it matches what I already do or what I'm planning to do, then it makes both of our lives a lot easier because I'm gonna work my ass off on what I already wanna do, and it will just so happen to fulfill all of your desires. But I think way too many people spend time in this like compromise zone where...
You know, it's so interesting, his concept, because I'm really trying to dig deep into what he's saying. You know, find a person that is gonna judge you the way you judge yourself, and it's almost as if like you're finding a girl that knew your exact next move, and so everything you do doesn't surprise her. It's exactly in line with what she wants. Let me tell you something. The girls I date, they're feminine, they're friendly, they're fit. I don't think they see the vision of my life the way I see the vision of my life. Meaning that the plans that I have and what I want to do, they might not need a guy that's trying to do all that. You know? Like, I want to fly airplanes. I think most girls that I meet, they haven't even considered dating someone that would have his own private airplane, right? Like, I want to live in a hangar house, a house that has a garage for airplane. And they're usually in communities called air parks, residential air parks. And the residential air park has a runway strip. So I could literally take my plane, taxi it to this runway strip, fly leaving the neighborhood, and come back and land on the runway strip. Yeah. I don't think most people are even aware of that. So I think it's impossible, unless, like I said, you're dating the same person that's going to do everything you're going to do, to find a girl that likes everything you like and expects you to be the husband like that she dreamed of. In my mind, I'm going to exceed people's expectations because I'm going to make people think, gee, I never thought about even being married to a person that would do that, right? It never crossed their mind, right? I don't think people, if they meet me, like, oh yeah, I dream about marrying a YouTuber. I don't even think girls even look at YouTube as a real job just yet, right? Right now, when I'm making this video, YouTube is not a common thing. I don't know many people making money from YouTube. I know, like, what, 3 other people? You know what I'm saying? But in my immediate circle, I'm the only person I know doing YouTube. So I say this to say that what he's talking about is clearly the experience between him and his wife. And I think he met her online, I guess. But I don't know, I was about to say I thought he met her through one of his gyms. But she's into the gym too. But my issue is not everyone, one, wants to date the same person as them. I know I don't. Right? I want to date a girl that's like very different than me. Like that, and the things that we disagree on, I'm gonna look at it as our strengths, because that means that there's not dual think, right? Like I have a perspective, she has a perspective, and I let her share her perspective with me, and then she lets me share my perspective with her, and from there we kind of have this symbiosis where we offer such a variety of perspectives in one household. But if we have the exact same perspective, we like the exact same thing, and you expect me to be this particular way, then there's no discovery. There's no magic. There's no adventure. So for women that date me, the adventure that they're going to go on is, oh, wow, we're going to be flying planes, and we're going to be living in residential air parks. And, you know, I love the gym. I like to work out, but I also like to box. I also like to, you know, I'm into firearms. Things like this. Like I'm into yoga. I'm into hiking. I'm into exploring restaurants. I love vegan restaurants. I'm vegan, for those who don't know. I'm sorry if you're only finding out now. I'm only eat veggies. That's why my skin is so clear, right? But I work out and I'm a personal trainer. And so one of my favorite things just to do is to tour my favorite type of restaurant, which is vegan restaurants. And I one day want to open one. But I love the fact that I'm talking to this one girl now, and she's like, she would date an average guy. She offered to pay the date on the first date, second date, and the third date. She offered to pay 3 times, and she's being genuine about it. To the point where I know now on the 4th date I can let her pay, because for her that's fair. But we're different in that way. I don't mind paying for all the dates. She wants to help out. We're different in that way, right? She doesn't want to be a stay-at-home wife. She wants to be a woman who could help contribute to the household financially. She's actually unlike a lot of girls that I meet. Shout out to her. You know, whenever she sees this video, she's like, oh my God, you mentioned me. Because right now I don't let her know about my YouTube channel just because I got almost 300 videos. I don't want her to go through it. I don't really tell anyone about my YouTube channel, right? This is my work, my labor of love to the audience. It's between us. Again, for another person like I'm describing, you know, they don't got to be involved in all this to know all this, okay? But the point is clear. If I were single, my conclusion for all this, if I were single like you, I wouldn't go out and find the things Alec Hormozzi is talking about, with the exception of that be great. I do agree that you should try to be great. It's just that because we have a lot of competition in America, you got to understand that there's going to be few avenues where you could really be great compared to your peers. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? To try to have to be the elite in the top of any industry, not many people could do that. You got to have the personality for it, and you got to just even want it. But I think living an average life where you could have a wife, a family, you earn a decent living, and you could save a little bit for retirement, I think that's okay too. It's not for me, right? Obviously, you know I'm trying to be a multimillionaire, but for people that want to do that, I think it's absolutely fine. And the advice that you guys need really is go after someone you're attracted to, be open, and work on improving yourself, and keep showing up. Go to the dating apps. Go to events. Keep showing up. Approach it. If you're a guy, approach a girl. If you're a girl, approach a guy. We're going to have to invest in this topic more in the future, I know. But that is it for the video. I'm going to tag Alex Hormozi's channel inside the description and a link to this video. This video is, what, 27 minutes long? It's only 9 minutes of a 27-minute video. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you for 5,000 subs. 10,000 subs next. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this video if you like this video, because that really helps the channel if you share this video. And I'll see you guys at my other videos.